You have joined the live session, our fourth live session of a series since June on the expat quicksand that every expat finds themselves in eventually. And today we're looking at when you're sick of thinking about what you want and you are ready to take action, but you don't know which direction to go. So hello, I am Sunday Schneider-Bean of SundayBean.com, and if you don't know me already, I am an intercultural strategist and solution-oriented coach, and I am on a mission to help you absolutely adapt and succeed abroad and get you through any life transition. And oftentimes when you're in a transition, you're looking for direction. In June, we talked about how to create connection with your family and loved ones, especially when you're going back home or in a vacation situation. In July, we talked about creating a life upgrade, how you finally do the thing that you said you wanted to do. And in July, or in August, actually, we talked about purpose. And that was a really, really big one. How the essence of having a strong purpose can actually positively impact your health, your relationships, and pretty much everything. And if you have a lack of purpose, it can actually be life-threatening. So purpose is a big one in August. And this month is all about direction. So if you're watching live, hello. And if you're watching on the recording, go back and check out what we've done already on purpose and direction if you're left wanting more. So I am excited to have you. There have been at least 45 people who signed up to be present live today or watch it later in a recording. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited to have you, and just want to say thank you for sharing your valuable time with me today. And here's how we're going to do this. What I want you to do is I'll give you the absolute best tips I have in terms of how to find your direction today. And if you have questions, hi Cornelia, nice to see you. If you have questions, I want you to pop them in the comments, and I'll get to your questions after the session. Or if they feel private and confidential, then you are welcome. Hi, nice to see you, Liv. I want you to pop your questions into the comments if you feel like it's a question most people will benefit from, but if it feels private or very, very personal, you can email me directly. So hello, everybody. That's all I ask of you today. Just pay attention. We're going to go for the ride, and any questions that you have afterwards, let me know, and I will get back to you personally. Okay, so deep breath. You all have very busy lives. I want you to take this time for you, right? This one moment for you where you can focus on yourself and not multitask, not worry about anybody else's needs. So use this moment for yourself to really reflect. And to do that best, I would ask you, having a pen and a paper might be good to have next to you so you can make a few notes. And there's going to be a tiny little quiz that you might want to make a few notes on while we're doing this. No tests at the end, but just a little quiz for you to think about. Okay, so that's it. Let's jump in. The thing I want you to know is that the things I'm sharing with you today all come from what I see in my work with my clients. So if you notice one of the things as relevant to your life, know that you're not alone, that the things I'm sharing with you today are directly from my years and years of client experience with expats who are doing the same thing that you are, trying to make the most of their life abroad, despite the transition or in the middle of any sort of challenging transition. Okay, so let's get started. The topic is you're sick of thinking about what you want. You are hungry to take action, and then you notice that you don't know which direction to go in. Okay, and when I see this happen, you don't know which direction to go in because you're blocked. Okay? And by the time we're done with this live session, you will know 7 ways that you might be blocking yourself from taking action on what you really want and what you can do about it. Okay, so pay attention to these 7 ways and listen to your reaction. If you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, that's me, then that's the time to pay attention. Okay, so these are the 7 ways you might be blocking yourself from setting course on a direction. And we'll talk about strategies on how you can get unstuck. Okay, so strategy number 1. So ways number 1 that you might be stuck is you are not taking action because you don't know what you want. Okay, it sounds obvious, but if you're not taking action, you want to ask yourself, have I done the work to get crystal clear on what you want? Because most of the time when I work with clients and they are crystal clear on what they want, they're hungry to take action. It's like a dog on a leash who's trying to get off the line and run towards your goal. The direction is clear because you know what you want. So check inside your body. Be honest with yourself. Is it you don't have a clear direction because you don't know what you want yet? And if you don't, that's okay. Then you know where to start. So one tip is to go back to last month's training where we talked about doing the micro work. Okay, the micro work that I mentioned briefly is the small exercises to get clear on what you want. I gave an example of a physiotherapist made me do exercises in my neck where I couldn't even detect it, and it was frustrating. And her response was, how can you strengthen your neck and your back if you can't even do the work to strengthen these micro muscles? It's the same thing with you. Do the micro work to get clear on what you want so you can answer the big question. So if you know what kind of coffee cup do you want to have in the morning? What do you want to eat for lunch? What do you want to wear? Not what do you wear? What do you want to wear? What music do you want to listen to? That's the micro work to open up your body as a sort of a honing system. And once you're opening up those channels to get clear on what you want on those micro things, okay, then we can start talking about what do you want to do for the next 2 to 3 years of your life. You cannot get clear on that until you do the micro work. And if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, don't worry, because you might be telling yourself it's going to take a long time to do that, and it isn't always the case. With my clients, it's like, oh my God, I've been living from my chin up and I actually have this whole body here, which helps me understand what I want to do, and I've been ignoring it. So to be honest, and I mean, let me know if you've experienced this yourself, that once you actually realize that you have something, a tool from the chin down that can tell you what you want. I mean, that's what they call it, gut instinct, right? That then it becomes clear. It's like a snowball effect. And it's not pushing a boulder up a hill. It is pushing a snowball down a hill, because then you create momentum. And what I've heard my clients say is they're like, Sunday, I can't believe I actually made decisions differently. That now it's obvious. You walk into a room and you meet someone and you know in your gut, yes, this is someone I want to hang out with, or no, I don't want to. Or you come to a simple decision like, how am I going to spend my time on the weekend? And in your whole body, you know yes or no. That's the kind of knowing what you want I want you to practice. Okay, so your assignment, if you're someone who really is clear that you know you're not taking action because you don't know what you want, is to do the micro work. Okay, get playful, have this be fun. Find out throughout the day little things in your body. Is this a yes, this is what I want, or not? Okay, some of you might be saying, Sunday, I have too many ideas. There's a whole bunch of things that I want, and you might be scared that you're going to choose the wrong one. Okay, and if that is the case, it could be that you haven't done enough work to get deep and clear about what you want. And the second thing I would say to that, if you're the one who's full of overwhelm, really make sure you do the work on getting clear. Is this really what I want? And then find out, what is it about what I want, all these ideas? Maybe you can distill that down further. Okay, I'm happy to have a conversation with you online if that's not clear. But for those of you who have too many ideas, I'm guessing you also haven't gotten deeply clear on the big picture of what you really want. Okay, the other thing I want to share with you around the people who are in the idea phase is that what we know from research is that imagining your life and what you could want or think you want is honestly not a huge predictor of happiness from a scientific perspective. And sometimes it's important for you to find out what you want by taking action. Right? In German, they have a Schnuppertag, so a day that you go and you sniff around, you look and see, you test it out. You talk to people who are doing the thing that you think you might want to do. Those are great ways to learn whether you would like something. So if you're someone who is very much up in your head and you're saying, oh, I don't know what I want, there's so many things, this is a time to take action. Create a Schnuppertag, a day where you go investigate and experience for yourself what a piece of that life would be like. Okay, so for the people who are up on your head, that's number one. You are not taking action on what you want because you don't know what you want, and that's okay. But now you know what the next step is. Okay, number two, you're not taking action because you're afraid. Okay, you're not taking action because you're actually afraid. It's fear that is holding you back. And I know you don't like hearing this. Nobody likes to hear that they're allowing fear to hold them back. But I tell you 100% of the time in my coaching experience, people recognize there's something in their life they haven't been going towards because they're scared. Okay, and that's normal. So I call this fear response, I say it's Amy G. Dalla, right? Ms. Amy G. Dalla is your amygdala, where she's trying to keep you safe. Okay, so the fear is actually from a positive place of trying to make sure you don't mess up or do something wrong or make a bad decision. So this fear center is trying to keep you safe. Okay, and I want you to take a quick quiz right now to see if Amy G. Dalla is whispering in your ear. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about that thing, that big thing you'd like to create in your life, that shift or that transition that you'd like to create. Okay, hold it in your mind for a second. And now when you think about taking action on it, I want you to tell me honestly which ones pop up. Okay, number one, it will be difficult. Number two, it will take a long time. 3, I'm too old or I'm too young. 4, I'm not strong enough. 5, I'm not good enough. Okay, so you can pop the number in the comment or the sentence in the comment if you want to share it with others, or you can just think for yourself, which one of these 5 have I honestly thought when I think about creating the life that I want, the thing that I want? Have I said it's going to be too difficult? It will take a long time. I'm not strong enough. Okay, most of my clients have all of the above. It's just normal. We tell each other, we tell ourselves these things. So know that this is common. I know a lot of people who have these thoughts that hold them back, and know that it's not true. It's Ms. Amy G. Dalla whispering to you these things to keep you safe. Okay, but we know in reality it doesn't have to be that way. And my favorite, I call them excuses or lies, is I used to say it's going to be difficult and it's going to take a long time, right? Okay, Karen, you're with me. You've also been there. I remember doing this to myself. And imagine that feeling, how you wake up in the morning and if you say, oh, this is going to be difficult. You don't want to get up in the morning, right? Good, Claudia, you are with me. You've seen this as well. That thought, it will be difficult, makes you feel heavy and not want to start, right? So that thought is really limiting. And I can tell you from my own life, I remember back in 2008 when I was thinking about becoming a coach. I remember thinking that is going to be difficult and it's going to take a long time. And in hindsight, I laugh at myself because it wasn't hard. And okay, the time it took, I mean, I invested months and months and months and actually years in my coaching, but it went by fast and it was actually light. And so when you believe the thought, I'm too old, then you don't start it, right? And now you've just stopped yourself from having an opportunity. And I'll tell you, here's another example. If you believe the thought, which one did I want to talk to you about? Oh, I'm not good enough. This happens all the time. I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough. If you believe that thought, then what happens? You go and you get another master's degree, right? Like how many do you need? Or you go and you get another certificate, or you study another thing, or you don't do it because you believe the thought it's already not enough. And what I've seen is people will invest so much time in trying to be good enough and knowing more when they could be out there doing it. Okay? So one of my clients I remember working with, she wanted to start her own business. And there was this thought of, I'm not good enough, right? And we worked together enough to we nailed that. And she was thinking about starting a business. And the first instinct with this idea, I'm not good enough, was to get recertified or get certified, study more, do more, which would put her back a year or 18 months to even starting her business. But when I investigated, well, tell me what your real experience is. What training do you have? What certifications do you have? I was like, you're kidding me. I mean, this woman was already good enough. So realizing that the thought, I'm not good enough, was holding her back, if she hadn't caught that in time, she might have waited 18 months to start her business. 18 months to gain business acumen, 18 months to get clients and earn money. That is how important our thoughts are. They can cost us 18 months of our life and thousands of dollars, euros, francs, whatever currency you think in, right? So it is important. This one is really important. If you don't admit where you're afraid and the thoughts that are holding you back, you could make a decision where you think you're taking action, right? I'm getting another degree, I'm getting another certificate, whatever it is. And you're actually taking yourself the opposite direction. You're slowing yourself down. So this is why this one is so important. And I have a reference for you. I'll pop in the comments afterwards. I'm reading a book called In the Company of Women, Inspiration and Advice from 100 Makers, Artists, and Entrepreneurs. And it's by Bonney. And this is a fabulous book because you see these gorgeous women of all shapes and sizes and cultural backgrounds doing all these amazing things. And in every single interview that they do, they talk about how they're afraid and do it anyway. How they're afraid and they've worked around those fears. And I truly, truly believe that everyone has fears, but it's what we choose to do with them that define us. So what we choose to do with those fears define us. It's the difference between waiting 18 months to start your business and being in this glossy, gorgeous magazine that is a New York Times bestseller, right? That is the difference that fear can make in our lives. All right, and we all have it because we have a brain, okay? So it's not, don't blame yourself, don't shame yourself. It's normal, right? So this is so important. All right, I'm off my soapbox. I believe that so much because I see it in my clients' lives all the time. If you are feeling any one of those 5 things, hi Samantha, lovely to see you here. If you're jumping in, Samantha, at the fear section, if you're believing any one of those 5 years, right, it'll be difficult, it'll take a long time, I'm too old, not strong enough, not good enough. You're not alone. It's okay. So many people feel this, especially women in our gender biased society. we are taught also to believe these things. Decide today, I have fears, that's okay. My fears will not define me. Okay, and I've got lots of exercises on how you can work through these fears that I'm happy to share an article with or in a call with you on those. So that is really important. So if you're feeling like you're not taking action because you recognize these fears, say, hell no to these fears and decide, I'm going to find a way to work around them so I don't get held back from taking action. Okay, so that's number 2. Strategy 3, you are not taking action because you're not crystal clear on where you want to go. Okay, so I have people who are mad at themselves. They beat themselves up because they're not doing. I'm not doing. And I say, well, where are you? What are you going to be doing? What are you creating? And as I mentioned with this dog on the line, it's so important for you to have a picture in your mind of where you want to go that is so clear you are salivating like a pit bull to go get it, right? Because creating a life that you're truly satisfied with, that's meaningful, purposeful, and has direction takes work. I am not going to tell you that you can have it overnight. That is not my gig, because I don't believe that's true. I think that for you to live a purposeful, meaningful life takes mindfulness and hard work, and it can be a blast in the process, but you need to know where you're going and what you're creating. So if you're not taking action, it could be that you're not crystal clear on where you want to go. And this is where all my left brainers, all my accountants, all my finance people, all my project managers, my big invitation to you is you need to allow the right brain, the creative side of your brain, loose. My lawyers, right? And what I notice about that is when you do allow yourself to dream, it's like explosive. I don't have a client who hasn't led their life from the left brain, logical, rational, forward march, and got into this dreamy, creative right space and didn't say it was nourishing and gorgeous and productive, right? So what I mean by that is if you're not crystal clear on where you want to go, do you have, hey Slappy, nice to see you, do you have a picture in your mind literally a picture in your mind about where you want to go towards? So I have people do right brain activities, like literally, you might have heard about the vision board that was really popular, I don't know, about 5 years ago, where people literally create a picture of all of the things that they would like in their life. So if this is something that feels fun to you, good morning. If this is something that feels fun to you, this is what I invite you to do. I want you to either go on Pinterest without going down the rabbit hole, or go and get a magazine and cut out all of the things, you might want to write this down so you don't miss it, all of the things that you would like to see in your life in 2-3 years. Who would you like to be loved by? What do you want to be experiencing? What do you want to be doing, and what do you want to have? And without being rational, without overthinking it, just dump all these things that pop up on a physical piece of paper, or go to Pinterest and collect them on a board. And that is the beginning of creating clarity. Okay, this is the dream world, the dream life that you want to be creating. That is one approach for the people who need to tap into their creativity, the visual stimulus. Yes, exactly, Samantha, like a vision board. But I want you to hold it loosely. This isn't like the thing we're going to create in our life and then we're going to do nothing and then expect it to happen in 3 years. This is, I don't have a clear picture yet, so let me use outside stimulus. This is just brain research, right? Let's tap into the right brain by using visual stimuli and listening to our body and seeing what comes out. And I guarantee you, something will come out that you didn't expect. A quote that strikes you, an image, a pattern you didn't expect, and that will help you begin to get this idea of what do you want to be creating in the next 3 to 5 years. One of my clients did this, and she was like, actually, nothing about my family is on this board. And what she said was, what it made me realize is that my family life, the needs are being met, but everything on the board was about what she wanted to do professionally. Okay, so for her, it was saying everything else in my life is going well, but for me now, I need to focus on my professional direction. Another person did the exact opposite. She did the whole board and she realized work is nowhere. So she realized this pressure as an accompanying partner that I should have a job, I should be working. She was like, no, I actually don't want to. And she said, actually, what I want to do is I want to invest more time doing creative things with my children. I want to invest more time in my health and go running. So experiment with that and see what happens. For those of you who feel like you want a big goal to work toward, that you aren't crystal clear on where you want to go, you might want to try another tip. And this is very simple. You say, in 3 to 5 years, I will be doing for a group of people or a person so that, So that might be, in 3 to 5 years, I will be volunteering my time at a teen shelter so that they can learn art as part of their therapy. Okay, so whatever that is, you have to fill in 3 to 5 years, I will be doing X for Y and the reason, so that C. And that's another way, it's a little bit more linear way of thinking, but if you can't complete this sentence, if your board is empty of ideas, you are not ready for a direction because you don't have a clear vision of where you're going. Okay, so if you're not taking action, if you're looking for direction, it might be that you just haven't gotten crystal clear on what you want yet, or on where you're going to go, right? And so those are 2 strategies that you can think of. All right, so now we've looked at 1, you don't know what you want, 2, how are we afraid, and 3 is, where do I want to go? Okay, the fourth one, the fourth block that we're going to talk about is this. You're not taking action because you don't have all your questions answered. Okay, and you know that feeling where, I don't know, it makes me think of high school algebra, where you're sitting there in your desk and you have a problem in front of you and you're stuck. So you don't do anything, right? You just sit there for 20 minutes in front of the problem instead of raising your hand and saying, I'm stuck. Help me out. What am I missing? What's the next step? So maybe, oh really? Yay, Andrea, good to hear. Good, I'm glad I brought that one up. So you have a question, right? And what we gotta do is, hi Elaine, that's wonderful. See this, you guys see this all the time. You sit there in front of the problem for 20 minutes instead of raising your hand and saying, I'm stuck. And someone from out there might have the next piece of information that you need, okay? So it's important that if you're hungry for direction, if you want to take action, it sounds obvious, you guys, but when we're in our own lives, and I'm plugging in my phone here because it's gonna die. When we're in our own lives and we're overwhelmed by the problem, we forget some of the obvious things to do. So my advice is, when you're there, you're stuck in front of that problem, just go into problem solving mode. And here's what it looks like. Where can I find help? Who can help me? And who knows what I know? So we tend to try to do it all ourselves. And we tend to say, oh, no one will help me, no one can figure this out. When in reality, there are people out there who can support you. And I know it takes courage to put your hand up and feel like you might look dumb and everybody else gets it, right? But actually, it's really the smart thing to do because you're the one who's not staying stuck. And I know, because I work with people in this situation all the time, actually there are 20 kids in the room that are stuck on the same problem, because I see it all the time. People are getting stuck in the same places. So you're not alone. And even if you were, it doesn't matter. Put your hand up and find out, where can I find out? Who can help me? And who knows what I know? So for those who said, this is me, Andrea and Elaine, you can pop in the comments or email me and say, this is where I'm stuck. And I will brainstorm with you and say, okay, where could you find this out? Who might know? Right? And one guiding question that you can have when you're in problem-solving mode, when you're investigating, something that helps me stop overwhelm all the time is this simple. What's the right next step? That's it. What's the right next step? Because when you're problem solving and the puzzle is complex, it can feel overwhelming. Okay, so what's the right next step? I hope that helps our puzzlers just take one step further and get a little more movement there. Okay, so you're not taking action because you don't have all your questions answered. Then it's time to take action. Put your hand up and get investigating. Ask. Okay, obvious, but it's hard when you're stuck in the moment. Okay, block number 5. Block number 5. You're not taking action because you don't know how to get there. Hey, Nicole, nice to see you. I haven't heard from you in a long time. We are looking at block number 5. You are not taking action because you don't know how to get there. Now this is, we have the end game in mind. You've got your gorgeous vision board that looks amazing, and you've got your sentence really clear. You know what you do, who you do it for, how you do it, but you don't know how. And this is really, really important. If it's this, how shall I say, it's this thinking of, because I don't know how to get there, I'm going to stay here until I figure it out. Okay, so it's like you're scared of going in the wrong direction or making a mistake, even though you want it so bad, right? And this one is actually a great way to get started is ask someone who's done it. Like, it sounds obvious, but if you wanted to start an online business, well, talk to other people who have successful online businesses. Join a Facebook group with people who are living the life that you want to live. Photography or massage or single parenting or, people who are creating a great life after divorce. I don't know what it is. What is it that you would like to be doing? Find your tribe that is already doing it because they've walked the road. They've learned the lessons. And I know for myself, I'm looking back on 4 years of running a location independent business online. And I think about all the learning that has happened at a price, like literally a price that I've had invested in, right? And in time and energy and mistakes and learnings and all of that. There's value in that. So people that you're connected with can share that with you. Okay, the other thing you can do is, if you don't know how, let's say you're trying to do something really innovative that you can't find someone who's done the same thing, then find someone who has a process to help you, right? A process. For example, when I work with clients, I have never done this cool art thing that one of my clients is doing, but I know how to get them through it to the process. And that's where mentors, coaches, your support network of people who have a process. You have, I don't know, there's books out there that can help you do it yourself. Some of you might want more, do it yourself might not be the right thing for you, or the level of complexity might be too high to do it on your own. But trust a process that you know works. Okay, because if you're blocking yourself because you don't know how, you're not going to take action. So seek out people who know how because they're doing it successfully, or seek out a process that's proven that will get you there. Okay, so now number 6, you're not taking action because you're stuck in overwhelm. All right, how many of you, with a little like or a show of hands, how many of you have been stuck in overwhelm? And this happens when you now know what you want to do. You have the picture and you're like, oh my gosh, there is a lot to do and I don't even know where to begin. And I see this happen a lot because there feels like a billion things to do. And I know when I feel overwhelmed. Here's a tip with overwhelm. 1, you need to know when you're in overwhelm. And for me, in overwhelm, I feel like I'm breathing up here, right? I'm not breathing in my belly. I'm like shallow breathing. So know in your body when you're overwhelmed. Are your shoulders tight? Do you have a headache? Is your breathing different? Do you think about your to-do list in the morning? Or do you put the duvet over your head and hide? What are your overwhelm signs? That's really important. And so recognize when you're in overwhelm. And for me, honestly, the way I've been able to alleviate overwhelm is to eliminate the problem. And I don't mean ignore or don't take action on what I want to do. I mean eliminate the feeling of overwhelm. And that is solved by planning and prioritizing. Hey Sabrina, nice to see you that you just joined. So here's the thing, it sounds obvious, but when you're in overwhelm, it's hard to see beyond that. It's like the adrenal rush that comes up and it clouds your judgment. Overwhelm, if you're feeling it, you notice in your body, whether it's shallow breathing or tense shoulders, sit down, plan and prioritize. Plan and prioritize. That is how you reduce overwhelm. You can use the question, what is the next best step, to guide you? And I will try to remember to put it in the comments as well. I have an article called How to Eat an Elephant. And that is taking just one step every day. And I don't care if your container hasn't arrived. I don't care if you're sick, your kid is sick with the chicken pox. How to take a bite out of this mountain of things you have to do, one step at a time that fits your life. So those are my strategies for overwhelm that should help you get you through. I will post those in the comments so you have those references afterwards. The other thing I see with overwhelm, honestly, what I see is happening with people who have been accompanying partners for a long time. You tend to react to the needs of the organization and your partner and your children, and you've been in responsive mode, reactive mode. You wait for the electrician, you wait for the container to arrive, you call up the cell phone service, right? You're in responsive mode, and you haven't yet clicked in to proactive mode. And that's okay. You're in a normal transition, right? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, check with your strategies. Are you being reactive or are you being proactive? Are you responding to a situation or are you planning and executing in your everyday life? And if you're not, great, boom, now we found something to help reduce the overwhelm. Okay, so check in with yourself. If you are in overwhelm right now, that means for everybody who said yes, that's you. If your calendar is not structured on what you're working on, what your highest priorities are, and when you will do it, you will stay in overwhelm because you don't have the plan. And you don't have the satisfaction to know that you're taking action on what's important to you. Okay, most important, if you're in overwhelm and you do the work to plan and to prioritize and start taking action, please celebrate that you're taking action. Notice that you are progressing, because my experience is that whatever endeavor you have, whatever goal, whatever thing you're trying to create in your life, when you click off one thing, the next thing comes. And you forget, when you look at a mountain ahead of you, that you've actually come miles and miles, right? So celebrate your progress, because you're going to need that energy and that momentum to keep going. Okay, so we've looked at you're getting stuck because you haven't answered all your questions, you don't know how to get there, or you're stuck in overwhelm. And now our seventh block. Our seventh block, which I feel is so important, and that's why I have it right at the end, is you're not taking action because you don't believe you have what it takes to make the journey. You're not taking action because there's something inside of you that is questioning, hey, have I got it in me? Can I really do this? I see this all the time, okay, because it feels safer. If I'm questioning, I don't have it in me, and I don't do it, then at least I don't fail, okay? Then nobody finds out that I didn't do it, right? So if you stay safe, no one will know, and I won't disappoint myself or I won't disappoint others. Okay, so this is the number one thing I see people do, is when you don't believe that you have what it takes. So what can you do with that? Okay, we understand that your self-confidence has taken a hit. Okay, and that is kind of a result of living an expat life, especially if you're the accompanying partner and you've been adapting and giving up whatever you created to start it over in another place, and you've sacrificed things for your children. You don't have things from the outside to boost up your self-confidence, right? So I understand that your self-confidence can take a hit. Here is how you get one step further on that. It's, again, not rocket science. It's very simple but powerful. I'm going to force you. I'm going to say force because this is not something people like to do willingly. I just was off the phone with a client. I made her do this. She was so mad at me. Make a list of your talents and your skills. Make a list of your talents and your skills. And I literally mean that. Make a list. And I'll share something with you. It feels vulnerable to tell you, but I'll tell you. In 2008, I might have shared this in another training. In 2008, I was working for the head of intercultural management, a very big company, and everybody around me was calling me the expert, an expert in intercultural communication, et cetera, and I was like, oh my God, fraud complex. And I felt uncomfortable with this when people were saying expert. And what did I do? I thought, I have to either tell them to stop calling me an expert or I have to own what I am. So I made a list. What does it mean to be a specialist in intercultural communication? I made the list of what I think. And then I made another column and I looked at my life experience, my criteria, my qualifications, and all of that. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, kind of matches it. And I had to see it in black and white for me to internalize it. And the same thing with you. If you make a list of your talents and your strengths, you will start to see the evidence of the fact that you do have what it takes to go on the journey that you want. What will happen? I guarantee you, you will start a list and there'll be like 4 measly things on the list, right? Then I would encourage you to write down just 3 more. Now you're at 7. And if you get stuck, then I want you to reach out to your experience and think, listen, I have faced tough times before. In those tough challenges, what did I do and how did I overcome it? Those are strengths that you probably take for granted. Add those to the list. And finally, let's say you're at number 12. I want you to give the list to 3 friends or loved ones and have them add what you're missing. Because your best friend or your partner or someone that you've worked with and adore for a long time has seen something in you that you might not be admitting. Okay, so that is your list of believing in yourself, what it takes to make the journey. Elaine, you're going, oh my God, you must have had an aha moment. So I would love to hear more about that. Andrea as well, I'm really curious to hear why you guys are responding in the way that you are right now to that one. You can send it to me in a comment or email me afterwards. But this is scary for people. And when I have my clients do this, it's fantastic. Because you come up with a few things, and usually I say you have to put as many items as you are old. So if you're 37, you have to say 37 things. And then they give it to a friend, and their friend like triples the list in no time. Okay, so try that for those of you who are not taking action because you don't believe you have what it takes for the journey. I guarantee you that that list will look very close to what it takes. Okay, so there you have it. Those are 7 ways that you may be blocking yourself from setting off in the direction to help you get what you want, to create the life that you want and that you've been craving. Okay, so I'm going to recap for you quickly. 7 blocks. You don't know what you want. You're afraid. You don't know where you want to go. You don't have all your questions answered. You don't know how to get there. You're stuck in overwhelm, and you don't believe that you have what it takes to make the journey. Okay? Do not beat yourself up if you've identified 1 or more of these blocks. Okay? Just celebrate. Celebrate that you've identified a way that you're stopping yourself from taking action, from finding that direction. Now you know. Okay? When we say we don't know which direction we want to go, what we're really saying is that we're questioning ourselves, our choices, our ability to identify what we really want, and our ability to make a plan to make it happen. Okay? It's a hell no is what I have to say about that. You can do this. Okay, so if you're stuck on direction, it simply means that you've got some work to do. Okay, I've given you strategies depending on where you're blocked. Okay, and then once you remove those blocks, the direction will be steadfast. Okay, so this has been really fun to share these with you. I've never shared these so directly with my audience before, because this is something we work on all the time one-on-one with my clients. So I'm really happy that you showed up today. And here I have one request for you. One request is I would love you to put in the comment section, what is the main takeaway you have from today's live session? What is the one aha moment or thing, the light bulb that went off for you based on what I talked about today? I would greatly appreciate that if you took the time and left that in the comments. Okay, so let's talk about next steps. Please leave a comment on the one takeaway for you. Some of you have come to the live session today and you got what you were looking for. Okay, you're like, I've got it. I've got the strategies in hand. I'm ready to go run with it and experiment. I would love to know what that was. And please check in with me and tell me. I'd love to see how it goes in a couple weeks. What worked, what didn't. Okay, so stay in touch with me if you got what you came for today. Okay, and others of you, you can feel in your gut that you're hungry to make some big changes in your life and that you want more. Okay, and you are ready to show up in your life. And by now, you've probably heard about my Year of Transformation program, and that is exactly what the whole process is designed to support you with. Okay, I opened it up on September 1st. Applications close on September 20th. We've already filled some spots. There are 10 in total. But this is a process which will enable you to get crystal clear on what you want and create direction in your life. So where you were right now in a year will be very different from where you are 1 year from now. And that's the process, okay? Remember, this is a journey. Okay, so your next step is to schedule a free call with me. I'm going to put a call link in the comments for you to hop on the phone with me, and it's time to get off the sidelines of your life. Okay, so sign up to chat with me. You've nothing to lose. We'll spend 30 minutes on the phone. We'll look at one of your core issues, and I'll answer all of your questions that you have about Year of Transformation. Now is the time to do that. I'll put that link in the comments. I'll put the links to the resources in the comments as well. And of course, if you have questions, please pop those in the comments to me so I can get back to you, or you can email me privately if you feel like it's not something you want to ask, you know, on a public feed to somebody. So that's it, you guys. This has been our live session for when you're sick of thinking about what you want and you're ready to take action, but you don't know which direction to go. This is Schneider-Bean, intercultural strategist and solution-oriented coach, and it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. For those who are here live, thank you very much. For those of you who are watching this recorded, same goes for you. Send me a message at sunday@schneiderbean.com and let me know how I can support you. Remember, in the words of Liam Calloway, sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. All right, you guys, thank you for showing up. Take care. Let me know how I can support you, and I'll meet you in the comments section and give you some resources that I mentioned right now. Okay, take care.